Good morning everybody, it's Graham again from Unearthed and the next episode of Detecting Talk. Now, if you watched the previous film, we talked about going out onto the test bed and doing some demos on the do's and do nots in so much as technique and swinging coils madly in the air and everything else. However, the rain out there is steadily getting worse, so we are back in this office showroom at the moment, so we're not going to be able to do that particular film until the weather dries up a little bit. Good old English summer. Right, but that doesn't mean that this topic is any less important. In fact, it's probably a more important discussion today, and that is regarding, it's almost upon us folks, is rally season. So without further ado, let's get into the discussions regarding rallies and digs and even private detecting. Now, a lot of you guys over the years have attended digs rallies and you've probably found the same horrendous things as we've found ourselves even on our own digs, and that is the topic of not being able to fill your holes in correctly. Now, every time there's a rally or a dig, there's always somebody commenting on dig pages, Facebook groups and other social media outlets regarding individuals that are not filling their holes in correctly. And even worse than that, they're not filling the holes in correctly, but they're leaving their rubbish strewn on the top or half buried in the hole. Mainly iron, horseshoes, half horseshoes, giant iron studs, bits of iron nails, iron rings, you name it. Now there's two things here. One, they're obviously not using their detector to the capacity or using the discriminations correctly enough, because it's still digging iron. Now, everybody gets caught out with digging iron over the years. Even I get caught out from time to time if I'm investigating some of these iffy signals on some of these important detecting fields that we sometimes have the chance to detect on. But I can't believe how many people leave horseshoes, iron rings, etc., half buried on the fields. And then of course the responsible detectorist comes along and he sees the hole, he takes the iron out, so he's doing somebody else's work for them, and he reburies the hole and flattens it off, and he may stumble across the same thing 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day or more. Now, isn't it funny that these people are never caught? You never catch them red-handed. They're very clever in what they do, and there must be a reason for it. It's probably down to bone idleness. Obviously not using their detectors correctly, because all they're digging is iron all over the place, but it's pure and utter laziness to not pick up that little bit of iron or a little bit of scrap, put it in your scrap box or your scrap bag or your fines pouch or whatever, have a separate compartment for it, and at the end of the day the rally organiser will probably have a bucket, dump it in that, and they'll dispose of it, or dispose of it yourself, put it in a carrier bag, dispose of it when you get home. But there's nothing worse than seeing these half attempted to be covered holes with fines strewn half buried across them. There's nothing more annoying, but it happens on every single rally almost. Even one of our own digs last year up near the borders on a terrific site where there was quite a lot of hammered coins found. To our dismay, I was walking around most of that day filling other people's holes in, because they were just horrendous attempts. They weren't even stamping it down correctly. Some of them were just left to wide open for the farmer to wander across and find, which is even worse. If there's a surefire way of getting kicked off prime detecting land, that is one of them, leaving holes on the surface unfilled in. Nothing worse than it, folks. So the rally season's about to start. As we know, it's going to get into full swing very soon. Keep an eye out, guys, for these folks that do not fill their holes in correctly. Rule of thumb is, if you get onto a field, you're detecting on it for a period of time, leave it as you found it. You really want the farmers and landowners to be walking back on that field and finding it pretty much as they would have liked to have seen it, and before you guys went on there detecting. There's just nothing worse than seeing all these horrendously filled in holes. Now, on arable land, you're going to make a bit of a patch on ploughed, because you've knelt down, there's going to be impressions where your knees are, there's going to be footprints of course, and there's going to be a bit of a scuffed over area, but there's nothing stopping you flattening that over with your hands and making a half decent job of it. And of course, when it rains, the next day if it does, or the wind gets across that field. Pretty much in a couple of days' time, you can barely see footprints, never mind where people have been digging. But there's nothing worse than finding them great open holes on digs. It's nothing worse. And of course, discarding of your trash and your junk is pretty much fundamental to detecting. Take it away. Why leave it on there for somebody else to find? Or again, you're going to find it in the future if you're back on that field again, anytime soon. It's just ridiculous. Dispose of your junk correctly. Nothing worse than it, folks. Now, some of you guys out there that watch this channel will have some opinions on it. Let's hear your comments and some of your opinions on this situation. Have you come across it yourself before? Have you seen it, firsthand? Is it just laziness? Do people not want to carry around junk with them? Is that what it is? They don't want to be overloaded with bits of iron and other trash. I mean, I found ring pulls and bits of Coke cans, Red Bull cans, our White's lemonade cans, Iron Brew cans, left in the hole. Just left, just dug out and left and just thrown back on the surface. Now, are they doing it because they think, well, I paid the money for the rally, I'm just going to do what I want? It's ridiculous, because somebody else has to follow you around, or follow these individuals around and pick up all the litter and all the trash that they leave behind them. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So let's hear some of your input, folks. It'll be very interesting to hear. Now, of course, another topic here, and this could have been a separate film altogether, but it's worth cramming into this if we've got 5 minutes, and that is the topic of these new detectorists that are coming into the hobby, these very enthusiastic individuals that are really loving the hobby, which is fine. We sell quite a lot of detectors to people, ladies and gentlemen, that have never detected before, and they're having a wonderful experience, and they're finding their first coins and their first artifacts. But a lot of them are making a grave mistake in when they do uncover an interesting artifact or coin. Their first things that they do is they want to see detail on that particular coin or artifact. So instead of taking sound and proper advice, what they're doing they're going about it the wrong way, and they're cleaning it themselves. So we've had a couple of people the last couple of months that have uncovered really interesting coins, and instead of just getting the advice and guidance on how to deal with it, how to clean the surface mud off it or anything else that's on the coin or artifact, what they're doing is they're doing it themselves. We had one guy who sadly found his first hammered silver coin, and he used Duraglit, which is a silver wool polish, and really shone it up, and it was as shiny as the day it was made, or if not more. Unfortunately ruined any value of the coin, but his argument was, well, it's staying in my collection, I can do what I want with it, and I want it to look the best. So that's a different sort of argument. But my advice is going to be, now, if you're out detecting for the first, second, third, or the first month, or the second month, or the third month, or even the first 6 months, and you do stumble across something that's interesting, hold back on cleaning that coin. Do not clean it. Take the proper advice. A lot of times these coins don't need cleaning at all. A wash under the tap for the silver would probably get off any surface mud. The bronze ones need drying out. Don't put them anywhere near water. We used to make a mistake of putting our bronze Roman in Vaseline. Now, Vaseline is water-based, so they can have a corrosive side to it eventually. But some of the guys that were out there in the 80s and 90s, we classed as pretty much professionals in the day. They used it as well, but it's to our horror, you find that it's a water-based substance, which can lead eventually to the coins and artifacts to degrade. So you've got to be careful what you use on certain things. Most coins and artifacts really don't need anything putting on them, any polish or any waxes or anything like that, because they're pretty much stable. And my advice is to always seek the correct advice. If the coin's pitted and it's got a lot of surface corrosion on it, you can gently get rid of that by different methods. I use that bicarbonate soda method that I've talked about on here before, and I've shown a short video on it 5, 6, maybe 10 films back or more if you search the channel, how I do mine, because some of our hammered coins can be quite tarnished. Even some of the Roman silver denarius can have that horrible surface scab on it, as we call it, and that needs to come off to reveal a decent coin underneath. But it takes some time and effort to do that. But don't put it in things like Coca-Cola. People put things in Coca-Cola silver coins and things, and they polish things up and they do all that kind of weird and wonderful stuff, and it's just because people want to reveal detail. and as much as possible, because it intrigues them, it's their first ever find, and I can understand that, but just hold back. My advice is hold back and take the correct advice on what to do with that particular coin artifact, because one of these days somebody's going to go out there the 5th or 6th time, or even the first time detecting, if they're lucky enough, and uncover a rare and desirable coin and completely ruin it by cleaning it. So just a word of advice there, folks, just hold back. I know you're excited and you want to reveal more and more detail to find out what it is, but sometimes the best method is just to sit back and let's see the advice coming through off the individuals. You've got to be careful as well, because some of these forums can give the wrong advice. Some of the newbies on the forums give their advice what they do with it, which is completely wrong. So just be careful, folks, about cleaning your coins and artifacts. Do so at your peril. Viking Festival this weekend, folks, at Heysham. If any of you people are going, I'm going to go there on the Sunday, and it'd be good to see some of you guys. I know there's quite a lot of detectorists going. Come over and say hi to Unearthed if you see us wandering around. Unearthed organised dig on the 28th. It's a weekend after, the Sunday after. I'm looking forward to that one. We are also visiting another 3 or 4 farms to see if we can get on there and do the business as a group, working together as a team to uncover the history. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up, and of course I'm only less than a fortnight away from my own detecting, so happy days. So good luck if you're out this weekend. I wish you good fortune, and stay tuned for the next detecting talk, which is next Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.